All right. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight for the next program on the Israel Engagement Committee, which was a part of a program we were going to be doing on April 2nd. And we had to move it because of coronavirus. It changed everything. The plus is that we've got our own private session just on JNF and the program. We're bringing this to you based on a conversation I had with our speaker tonight, Dar Nadler, who I met last year when I saw a very similar program, and I thought it was great, and I wanted to share it with you. So I'd like to begin by showing you the video to kind of give you an idea what JNF is about, so we can see what she's going to be talking about, and then we'll come back with Dar. So we'll play that video. That'd be great.
Since 1901, Jewish National Fund has made its mark all across the land of Israel. JNF built communities where there once was only sand, found water solutions for an arid land, created jobs throughout the country, and turned the desert green. Every footprint that Jewish National Fund makes, that you make, starts with a strategic vision of a better future for Israel, its people, and the Jewish people everywhere. These footprints tell the stories of Israel's rich history and create a path for the Jewish leaders of tomorrow to follow. In the north, we are changing the narrative to entice people to move and create a home for tomorrow's generations.
The entire region is coming to life through food, agriculture, tourism. This is the place to be.
Look at this place. My business is thriving. It means that more people have jobs, and we have the chance to live in this beautiful place. What can be better?
In the center of Israel, our footprint helps immigrants new and old. Nefesh B'Nefesh helps Olim launch their new lives in Israel.
When I made Aliyah, this hub helped ease my transition into living in Israel. It helped me build a community, find a job, and make friends. I can't thank you enough.
On the border with Gaza, JNF went where no man had set foot before, and from sand, created life.
JNF's footprint is everywhere. You helped us build medical center, greenhouses, kindergartens, daycare centers, women business centers, playgrounds, synagogues, and much more. All that to keep our Zionist future and spirit alive.
In the Arava Valley, deep in the Negev desert, we have become a world leader in agricultural and environmental innovations.
You helped us turn even the most barren region into fruitful farmland.
In the Negev desert, we are creating a new South.
Ben-Gurion had a dream that Beersheba will become the capital of the South. Jewish National Fund has made Ben-Gurion's vision a reality.
With every footstep, every blueprint, every vision and development, Jewish National Fund paints the entire canvas of Israel with vibrant, pioneering colors. We live our values by helping those in need. In the greater Sderot area, we provide young people with resilience centers and a safe place to simply be kids, away from the trauma. We provide educational opportunities for youth of all ages and prepare them to be the Jewish leaders of tomorrow at our semester abroad high school in Israel. We have made a home for the heroes who safeguard the region. And we are not stopping. Soon, Be'er Sheva will become home to the great conversations of Israel's future, of our future. The JNF Israel Education and Technology Campus will leave the largest footprint of them all as it prepares our youth to lead the Jewish community of tomorrow. Be a part. Leave your footprint in Israel with us. Jewish National Fund. We are unique, we are strategic, we are visionary. And we've been that way since 1901. Join us.
Okay, so now you've got a better idea. The JNF, as I learned, is more than just trees. So I am not the JNF expert, but I want to introduce you to Dar Nadler, who is. And let me just tell you a little about her. She is the Jewish National Fund Emissary here in New England, and she's in the Capital District. She's dedicated her career to the state of Israel, of course. She was a CEO at Blue White Futures, a prominent Israeli NGO, established former head of the Israeli Shin Bet, and with Admiral Ami Ayalon. So prior to that, she served as a senior advisor to the Ministry of Defense during Prime Minister Ehud Barak's tenure as Minister of Defense. She was born and raised in a kibbutz that's by the name of Barkai, and she served in the IDF. She graduated from Tel-Aviv University with a BA in political science and education and an MA in public administration. So this gal knows what she's talking about. I've met her before. She's wonderful, and I would love to introduce her to you. So Dar, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Sharon, thank you so much. After this kind of build-up, I can just wrap it up and say good night, everybody. It was a pleasure meeting you. But now, usually on normal days, when it's not Corona everywhere, what I usually do when I meet people here in the United States, and as you can see from my accent, I'm an Israeli. I'm the Israeli Emissary here for Jewish National Fund. And usually what I do, I always start by asking, when you hear Jewish National Fund, what's the first thing you're thinking of? And most people, probably all of them, would say trees. And this is usually how we're starting. And then what I want to say to you, so let's imagine that you just all said trees. But today I'm not going to say anything about trees. You rest assured the trees are not going to be something I'm going to talk about. Although we are taking a great pride of being the organization that has planted more than 250 million trees in the land of Israel since it was established. Just to give you an idea, in Israel, all the trees that you're seeing are hand planted. Those are not growing by themselves in Israel. So there really was a need in forestation. So it's not by an accident that you are so, you're affiliating trees to Jewish National Fund for so many years, because that was the main agenda we had in the early time of Israel. But today, Jewish National Fund is actually doing so much more above and beyond. What I wanted to talk to you about, though, is not only about what Jewish National Fund is doing, but I want to connect it to the idea, to the notion of new Zionism, or some people are calling it Zionism in the 21st century. So as we all know here, I bet that everyone who had any interest today in today's program is, I'm sure, is aware of the fact that the traditional, let's call it, Zionism, was the one who actually called for all Jews to just come and establish their homes in the land of Israel. And by settling the land, we took over more and more areas in the land of Israel, and that way we made it ours. Okay, it was the building of a nation, it was the building of a country, a building of everything, of cities, of schools, of health system, of whatnot. That was the traditional Zionism. I can share that both my grandparents from both sides, and I'll get back to that maybe later on, but just as an example to what it was to be a Zionist. So I have my grandparents from my father's side. My grandmother survived Auschwitz, the Holocaust. She managed to somehow stay alive in the camp of Auschwitz. And afterwards, and my grandfather was a partisan, fought the Germans in the forests of Romania, Transylvania, as a matter of fact. They met right after the war, like less than a year afterwards, got married and came and made Aliyah to Israel in 1947. So for them, it was something that was a direct outcome of the Holocaust, was the necessity of just, in whatever shape you were, and you can only imagine, take yourself and put yourself in another huge adventure and uncertainty and just go to, to settle down in Israel. And then they came to Israel. They were building, developing the city of Ramle, which is close to Tel Aviv. And my other grandparents came from South Africa. And they, in the early 50s, in 53, they decided to leave South Africa. It was a combination of Zionism and anti-apartheid that brought them to just wanting to leave South Africa, but also to make Aliyah to Israel. They came to Israel and they built single-handedly, they built the kibbutz that I was, about 50 years later, I was born in. And there are actually pictures of my grandfather building the kibbutz's pool with his bare hands. There was nothing there, nothing. And the stories, it's a whole program you might want to consider doing sometimes, is speaking with an actual pioneer from Israel. I'll be happy to fix you with someone who can share how it was to just come to barren land and to just start building things from nothing, from scratch. They shared those little tiny rooms with no bathroom. Of course, no bathroom, no running water. They were staying there like 4 or 5 couples in the same room. They did whatever they need to do. My grandfather is still well and alive. He just turned 90 a few months ago, and he's still in the kibbutz. And I have to tell you that for him, he's seeing every single day his vision coming true, not only in the kibbutz, but in Israel as a whole. I can't say that he's always that satisfied with what's going on in Israel politically wise. Sometimes he's like, that's not what we meant, but that's his opinion, not mine. But I can say that generally speaking, I'm always, when I think about people my grandfather's age, those are people that actually got to see the fastest growing phase of history. Because when they were kids, there weren't even cars. So just imagine how special it is to be in their generation. It's a very unique generation in the human history of people that in their same lifetime got to see nothing at all, almost, no cars, no nothing, and all the way to smartphones and whatnot. So it's not something we will be able to have, or God knows where we will get in like 50, 60, 70 years. But anyway, back to Jewish National Fund. So my grandparents are the perfect example of what it meant to be a Zionist back then at the days. So now me, third generation, I'm asking myself, what is my contribution to Zionism? What are my generation responsibility when it comes to Zionism? So without elaborating too much about what it is for me to be an active civilian in a democracy, and how you have to have a political stand. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to have a political stand, and you have to fight what you believe in, and that's just part of being a citizen of a democracy. A part of that, I want to say that Jewish National Fund is actually a very good example of what it is to be a new Zionist, of what people in my generation, but also all the people in Israel, but obviously mainly in the diaspora, can do in order to still feel connected to the land and the people of Israel. So New Zionism is to invest and to concentrate in the areas and the regions in Israel that need the most attention now. So we already have, and we established a state. We have a wonderful state. It's secure, it's good, has a great military, and so on, and a great economy, so on and so forth. But there are so many things that are still not yet completed. For instance, the Negev and the Galilee. So I just wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page. I wanted to just share with you the Israeli map. So if you guys can see when I move the mouse, So you can see that the Galilee and the Negev are the north and south of Israel. So what I'm pointing now is the north of Israel, the Galilee. And here, when I'm pointing now, is the south. And the south, just so you understand, the south is 60% of the land of Israel is desert, is the Negev. And only 20% of the people from Israel are living there on 60% of the land. Okay? So I'm gonna stop sharing just for a minute, but if you guys want, just chat if you want me to refer back to the map. But the north and the Negev of Israel are probably the most underdeveloped and a little bit deprived, I'm saying mildly, regions in Israel. And what happened is that during the years, some of the things that we discovered, and obviously also the Israeli government discovered, it's not a secret, that Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Haifa, which is the centric triangle of Israel, those regions became the most attractive. And once they became the most attractive, in Israel is a tiny and very high and highly populated country. It's going to be one of the most populated countries in a few years or decades. There are all these, demographics and prophecies. And what happened is that it became just ridiculously expensive to live in those places, mainly in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is notorious for the cost of living there. And what happened is that people my age, younger than me, like, the third generation of the builders of the country, are not able to actually live where they want, not to mention affording an apartment or a house. It's not even something that we're there dreaming today. And strangely enough, you would think, okay, if they can't get a house, for instance, or afford the cost of living in Tel Aviv, they can relocate to somewhere in Israel that is less expensive, to the Negev, to the Galilee, for instance. But the thing is, the truth of the matter is that that's not what's happening. What's happening is that people that are wanting to live in a vibrant city, in a cosmopolitan city, to have high-tech career or quality careers and whatnot, they are just leaving Israel and relocating to, oddly enough, Berlin, for instance. If they're lucky enough, they're coming here to America, but it's just very hard to get a visa to live in America. But the thing is that people are not compromising for their quality of living. And the notion of Zionism, again, is not as strong as it was with our grandparents' generation, because for us, Israel is for granted. We were born to a place when Israel is not only for granted, sometimes it even, described as the aggressor, quote unquote. So for most of the people, the young generation, it's not a big deal if you live in Israel, you live in Berlin, you live in London. You're like a universal creature. You don't care, liberalism, globalism, and so on and so forth. And that's how Israel is kind of losing in the game of maintaining its most quality, highest quality of people in the land of Israel. So then what we came up with, and obviously again with the help of the Israeli government, and with a lot of other organizations and entities that are working together, the main idea now is to develop the Galilee and the Negev to become attractive place for young people, young families to relocate to. And attractive places, like I mentioned, need to answer to high standards of communities and the nature of the communities and job opportunities and so on and so forth. So this is just an example of New Zionism. So New Zionism is building communities in the Negev and the Galilee. New Zionism is investing in job opportunities, quality job opportunities, not just a job. New Zionism is to invest in education and youth movements all over Israel, one of our flagship projects in Israel is a youth movement called Green Horizons. That is actually a youth movement that is teaching the kids, their kids that are coming to the youth movement. It teaches them the love for Israel through hiking the land, which is a very Zionist notion and concept of just hiking, and by hiking learning about Israel, and they have multiple groups all over Israel of Jews and non-Jews and Druze and so on and so forth. It's an amazing youth movement, by the way. So that's another example. For us, New Zionism is investing in everything to do with people with special needs and disabled people. So that's another something that we, again, for Jewish National Fund, as long as it's either in the Galilee or the Negev, we are there. We are there if it's supporting a development towards making the whole region way more attractive and supporting the vision of creating moral and ethic and attractive communities, and we are there. So we have, again, another flagship project that the Jewish National Fund is supporting is Ale Negev. Ale Negev is an institution for people with special needs, but I would say mildly that those people are beyond help. People from the age of 1 day to 99 years old. They're children, they're elder people, they're all those, but that all other institutions or social frames just gave up on them because they really are, well, they really are beyond help. So they're coming to Ale Negev, and in Ale Negev, it's absolutely heaven on earth. It's somewhere I really urge you to visit next time you're in Israel, when it's possible. It's just heaven on earth. It's just people there. If you go through Ale Negev, you can see that each and every one of them, from the smallest little baby to the oldest person, they all have their own custom-made supporting, how would I say it, like a wheelchair, but something that is custom made for their own needs. Okay, so it's just a wheelchair. The wheelchair is designed for someone with a very specific disability. So the investments and the amount of monetary investing that a place like that need is tremendous, and I'm very. Those are the kinds of projects that when I'm speaking of, I'm always reminding myself why I'm so proud to be working for Jewish National Fund. And not only that now we're starting, and we started before Corona, but it will keep going, to build a new research institute with the collaboration with Ben Gurion University in Beersheba, which is the capital of the Negev, and with Soroka Hospital, that will dedicate itself to researchers in the field of disabilities and special needs, and will be in proximity to Ale Negev. So that's just another one. The other thing, New Zionism for us is also water. So I'm always saying, and I said it to Sharon many times, if you want me to talk about water, you bring me to talk about water, because I have a whole presentation about water and water preservation and river rehabilitation and rain harvesting and desalination and whatnot, because Israel is indeed leading force internationally. No one comes close even to the Israeli technology when it comes to water. So it's something I always mention, but I hate to not give it the respect it deserves, because that is something Israel actually did very well when it comes to planning for future. So it all started with Ben Gurion. So it's not that common that I would say a hectic country like Israel can actually strategize for so many years, and they got the thing with water and how important it is. And they did some incredible governing moves. At the end of the day, it's all about governing. It's about good governing. And they made some really genius governing moves in the early days that made Israel now a self-sufficient water market in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the most hostile neighborhood in the world. So a lot of people are saying, okay, you had no choice, right? A lot of people are saying that, generally speaking, about when you speak about Israeli innovation, it's like from this sentiment of you don't have a choice, you become very creative. But that's something again that we're very proud of, and I think that in the capacity, at least of the sizes of the campaigns that we are running for fundraising, for instance, for reservoirs and things from the water campaign, I think those are coming close to the numbers that we used to raise for forestation. And again, it's something to be very proud of Jewish National Fund that is so environmental and it's so green. And we were like that way, way, way before it became such a trend. For years and years and years, it's what we're doing. So again, if you guys want to hear about water, we will elaborate on that on another day. And also, of course, I welcome all questions about water if you have afterwards. I will say in parentheses, I welcome all questions, generally speaking, about JNF, about Israel, about myself, about the Israeli politics. You just feel very free to ask whatever you want, and if I can answer, I'll be happy to. So those are the examples of new Zionism as we see it. It's again investing and developing those regions and the things that counts more for the land and the people of Israel. So I wanted to also share with you just a few examples of of things that we're doing. For instance, in the north. Okay, so just a minute. Let me just so we already saw the map. Those are just few beautiful photos of reservoirs in Israel. Just so you know that on every $1 million, at least, that we are raising from America, so then they get a match in Israel from the Israeli Jewish National Fund, the Keren Kayemet Israel, and then the government is also joining in. And as this reservoir, like for instance, well, I would say usually the cost of building a reservoir is about $4 million. And just so you understand, and you know that today we have 290 reservoirs in Israel. And again, I'm reminding you, the goal of those reservoirs are to harvest rainwater. Again, when in a desert place, when you don't, when in a desert region, when you don't get a lot of rain, you want to harvest every single drop of rain. So this is how you do it. But just so you understand, in order to be fully sufficient in rain harvesting, Israel still needs another about 100 more reservoirs. So it's an ongoing campaign, naturally. It's another, I think, beautiful picture of one of our reservoirs in the north. And again, and you can see Mount Tabor in the background. And here, what I wanted to share with you, this is Kiryat Shmone. Okay, Kiryat Shmone is a not big city on the border with Lebanon. Okay, if you're going to just quickly back to the map. So I'm pointing to you guys now. So again, assuming you all know that, but I always like to kind of reiterate it. So somewhere here would be Kiryat Shmone, okay? And here is already Lebanon. And here is Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, okay? So Kiryat Shmona is really on the border with Lebanon. It's a renowned city for suffering many years from missiles attacks from the north in the first and second Lebanese war that we had in '82 and then in 2006. So Kiryat Shmona is kind of a place that nobody really invested in, like a forgotten city, but with an amazing potential and amazing people. And well, one of the things that we are doing in order to support the region is that we are now building one of a kind in the Middle East, as far as we know, culinary institute. It will be called the Galilee Culinary Institute. And this is how it looks today. And this is how it's going to look very soon. So the Culinary Institute is about transforming the north of Israel and Kiryat Shmona, the tiny Kiryat Shmona, to be a culinary capital of Israel and of the Middle East. It's a place where people will be able to come and learn how to become a chef, all the hospitalities professions, like, that is, well, how to run a hotel, how to run a restaurant, how to open a restaurant, all those professions you will be able to study here. Again, it's a collaboration also with one of the colleges in the Galil, in the north. And the anecdote that you guys will probably find more interesting is that it's led by Chef Lior Serkars, which is pretty known in America to be the spice guy. He has like this amazing spice store in New York, and he's pretty much, he wrote a few cookbooks, but the one that is joined and helping him, assisting him in managing that is Chef Solomonov from the restaurant Zahav in Philadelphia, which I'm sure many of you know. I didn't, but I'm an Israeli. But I've been told that most American Jews are familiar with the brand of Zahav restaurant in Philly. So you would be proud to know that also the very famous chef will be managing that too. So because I don't have just a minute, let me stop sharing that. So this is again another example. So like the Culinary Institute, there are multiple other things that we're doing. You are all familiar, I'm sure, with Ronald Lauder. Ronald Lauder is the president emeritus of Jewish National Fund, and he's been investing a lot in job opportunities. And we opened the Lauder Center both in Beersheba, and now we're working on one that we're going to open in Akko. Beersheba is in the south, Akko is in the north. Lauder Center for Employment. So this is where we are creating a sort of hub that is bringing together employers and employees and students that just graduated and are looking for jobs. We know how to combine the two and how to make the perfect match. So that's again another example. Another thing that we're doing, which is unfortunately very sexy, quote unquote, but very unfortunate that we are having to do that, is that we're supporting vastly in the community of the Gaza envelope. Again, the Gaza envelope is those more than 1 million Israeli citizens that are living around the border with the Gaza Strip. And I'm sharing the map again to show you that actually those are the people you would usually hear on the news when they start. It's over here. You see, Gaza is tiny, 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 way tinier than people think when they hear the amount of mess that is coming from there. But all the way here, if you can see around the Gaza border, there are kilometers and kilometers of villages and cities. Again, more than 1 million citizens are living under constant missiles attacks from Gaza for almost 14 years. And that thing has been going on for so long that what Jewish National Fund did, and we're doing it for at least the last decade, we were in very close relationship with the communities over there, and we are helping them building bomb shelters and resilience centers. You know, it took many years also for the Israeli government, but for everybody to understand that probably the biggest, most profound problem there is not about casualties. Thanks God we don't have that many, because thanks to Iron Dome and so on, but is the post-traumatic disorder, that it's the post-traumatic disorder reality that people are living in. And now we already have young children that are 10 years old. They were born to that reality. They are all diagnosed in huge numbers. It's heartbreaking. In huge numbers, they're all diagnosed with not PTSD, post-traumatic disorder, but CPTSD. It's continued post-traumatic disorder, because it's not something that is it's still going on. So it took a lot of time to understand that resilience centers, the places where people and families can come, especially with kids, can come to get help and get all kinds of emotional and mental support, is so essential. It just,
it sounds like it's an area that you're very passionate about. Is this the program that you would say that you are most proud of that JNF is doing, or is there something else that you would say is your star program?
So it's like choosing among my dogs. I love them all equally, but I can't say it's the most. Listen, it's hard for me as an Israeli to be proud of something that I think is not even supposed to be happening. But of course, that once this is the reality, I'm so ever so proud that we are able to help. Okay, and I know you want to take me to the. I'm getting to another amazing project that we have, and is Special in Uniform. Special in Uniform is actually a very simple project that has a simple rationality of giving people with special needs the ability to serve in the Israeli IDF. Because in Israel, the IDF is a big deal, and it's very much determine your identity as an Israeli citizen. So those that cannot serve the IDF often feel like they're being excluded or left out, or are not as good as others, or so on and so forth. I'm not saying that's a good thing, not at all. I would gladly live in a non-militaristic society. But since we are still here and still the Middle East, so a lot of people reach to the age of 18, but the army wouldn't take them on normal circumstances. So Jewish National Fund established this amazing project in which they can join the army and serve to the best of their abilities. And what it gives them, and what it gives even more to the people without the special needs, the soldiers that are just serving with them, I think they're benefiting even more than those with the special needs. I want to try and share with you a video.
I am. Oh, good. I think we'll be anxious to see that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I promise to try. I'm not sure I'll be able to, but I promise to try.
Do you have any other questions that have come in that we can ask Dar while she's setting this up?
Yeah. How is coronavirus impacting some of the JNF programs right now?
Okay, so if you can see that, I will take that question.
Special in Uniform is a wonderful program that allows kids with special needs to serve in Tzahal, in the IDF, in the Israeli Army. It's an amazing opportunity for these kids for life, and it builds their self-confidence, but it's also a huge gift to the soldiers of the IDF.
אני מכינה סוללות, ואני גאה שאני פה. ממש גאה שאני פה.
הם שווים בין שווים בין כולם. ואני גאה להיות חלק מהמערכת המדהימה הזאת, שגורמת לנו להיות חברה יותר טובה.
לעבוד פה זה הכי טוב שיכולתי לבקש.
מסע כומתה, גדולים במדים יוצא לדרך!
זה גאווה לצאת, אז אני הולכת בזה עם ראש למעלה.
Couldn't be prouder of Jewish National Fund, the most moral military in the world, taking people with special needs and making us a better society.
This is an incredible program, and I want to thank the Jewish National Fund for helping to sponsor Special in Uniform.
These young adults are an inspiration to all of us, and they make us feel special.
חיכיתי למסע הזה, אני אזכור את זה לכל החיים. קשה להאמין, חיכינו הרבה זמן לרגע הזה, ואני שמחה שהצלחנו. סוף סוף עשיתי את זה! אני חיכיתי 22 שנה לרגע הזה, והנה הרגע הזה הגיע.
Well, that was certainly very inspiring. And I know there's a department that is manned by autistic individuals who actually look at maps and scanning things because they're so intent and they have such good focus. I believe it's called far seeing. I forgot. Roim Rahok, something.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. No, it just sounds about right, because again, like there's so much things that they can do, not even just to give them the feeling that they are part of, but they can actually contribute significantly. And again, like I said before, it's very important to always remember that. And researchers have proven that repeatedly, that the people that are gaining the most are those with no special needs, are us. Okay, like those. So it's always good to integrate and to be in places where people with special needs are being integrated in.
So let's go back to our question. How is coronavirus and the pandemic impacting the JNF programs?
So it impacted vastly, as it impacted everything. One of the things that we saw, well, that had the most impact was obviously the tourism industry in Israel. Again, part of the things that we are doing is supporting a lot in tourism and boutique tourism in the Galilee, promoting small businesses, again, in regards to the vision that I elaborated on. And we saw that so many small businesses just went bankrupt completely, and so many tour guides and so many, it's just heartbreaking, because those people are like, they are their own people with their own businesses. And when there's no tourism, they really, another thing you should know is 40% of the people that are living in the north, in the Galilee, are relying on tourism for income, 40%. That means that it's a disaster, but it's a disaster everywhere in the world, I'm sure. Also, obviously it stopped, well, I spoke about Green Horizons, the youth movement that is taking kids to hike. Obviously they couldn't do anything. Now they're starting to go back. So Israel was fortunate enough to be way more strict with the measurements that were taken in a very early stage, that is now allowing Israel to reopen. We started reopening almost a month ago after Pesach, and now it's almost all reopened with all kinds of restrictions still. But unfortunately, in the last few days, we are seeing an increase in diagnosed cases that is kind of deriving from the fact that once you are opening and people are losing completely all discipline, all self-discipline, then this is what you get. So now they're trying to obviously find a way to balance it.
Yeah.
And they closed schools and whatnot. So schools became a problem.
So in addition to coronavirus, politics also presents some issues. How does the Jewish National Fund navigate politics to focus on programs that help people?
Can you repeat the question?
So how do you navigate the political situation to still be able to carry out your programs?
Okay, it's a question I love, Robin, because I have a very good answer to.
Oh, good.
Of course, I'm kidding, but Jewish National Fund was always non-political. Because I'm a little bit self-righteous from time to time, I tend to be, I admit. So I always insist of saying that we're not partisan, we're not non-political, because political for me is everything you prioritize. Okay, so if you prioritize today to speak about Israel, that's politics. If you prioritize for funds to go that way, not that way, that's politics. Okay, so politics is the whole negotiation of power. So we're not non-political in that sense, because we have our agenda, our vision of Israel, and our main concern is Israel. And we're very focused, even when it's controversial, and even when other things in the world are going on. But in that sense, we are very non-partisan, and we were able and fortunate for many, many years to just work with whatever government there is. And because most of our work is so in the field, quote unquote, with the communities in the Negev and in the Galilee, so the politics doesn't even play a role, because we don't even know what their political opinions, and they don't know what our political opinions, and it doesn't matter. Everybody who lives around the Gaza border wants to have bomb shelters and resilience centers and fortified playgrounds and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter what your political opinion, because the missiles that is being shot from Gaza doesn't ask you before it hits you, who did you vote for? So so we are very much concentrated in projects that are in consensus, in vast consensus. But when it comes also to American Jewry, and that's again something to have a whole presentation on, the relationship between American Jewry and Israel, I often hear that nuance from people that are feeling that sometimes are feeling that it's kind of interfering. Well, they're not living in Israel, they're Jews, and Israel is obviously your homeland. But because they're not living there, so sometimes people are like, I'm not comfortable supporting that or supporting that, because so I always say to that Jewish National Fund, and you can review all the projects on our website and whatnot. And I will not forget to invite you to our spectacular Sunday on June 14th. I will just leave just a note at the end. But it's a great way to learn about everything we do. And then you can see the Jewish National Fund is unique in the sense that it gives you Jews from all over the world the privilege to influence without interfere. Mm-hmm. Okay, which are two different things. And then you can also be a part of shaping the next 70 years, the next 72 years of Israel, without having to decide which side are you supporting, or if you're okay with what the government is doing now, or if you're not okay, or it's not about that. If you have your vision to how Israel should look like and should go, in what direction it should go, whether it's more ethical, more moral, more this or more that, more to the Negev, more to the Galilee. So Jewish National Fund is really the place to be. This is it's the most accurate, the most accurate execution of influencing Israel without the background noise.
So for our final question, we'd like to know, how do you decide where to build, what to develop, and where is the JNF heading in the future? What do you see as the next phase?
So everything is very organized. JNF, today JNF USA is raising $100 million a year to Israel. All of it, almost all of it, is going directly to projects in Israel. There are almost 200 workers today, employees all over United States. There are more and more branches of Jewish National Fund that are opening in all kinds of places. You wouldn't even believe there are Jews there, or there is any desire to have a Jewish National Fund there. And everything is obviously being monitored and decided. And again, the main principle that we have is that it has to benefit the Galilee or the Negev, the north or the south. So say someone is coming with this amazing project of special needs in Tel Aviv or in Haifa, amazing projects, okay? Something perfect. If it's not in the Galilee and the Negev, we're not there. It's not for us, it's not our mandate. So once you have your vision and mandate so clear, then everything really falls to place. It's really easy to decide. I think when you ask about the future, I think that, well, it really brings me to the next big thing. And I think that this is the biggest campaign Jewish National Fund ever did in history. It's a $300 million campaign that we're launching, is to build a Zionist studies institution in Beersheba. It's a second campus to, well, if some of you, again, another whole program about Mass High School. So Mass High School is this high school that high school abroad for people here that wants to send their high schoolers to Israel to spend a semester there. So it used to go on for like 60 years. So names like Sheryl Sandberg, the CFO of Facebook, and the singer Matisiyahu, those are all alums of the Mass High School. So JNF took over the Mass High School a few years ago when it hit some financial difficulties. JNF took over, and now it's the first time in 60 years that we are building a second campus in Beersheba. But it's not going to be only a high school. It's going to be a whole huge institution that will bring people from all kinds of different disciplines and disciplinaries to research together the present and the future of Jewish, Zionism, Israel, diaspora Jews, all of those small issues, light issues, under the same roof of what's going to be a huge campus. So that's where we're heading, if you're asking.
Yes, I was asking. That sounds very exciting. So let me turn it over to my dear co-chair, Sharon Efron, to wrap this all up.
All right. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Dar. Thank you, Dar. We really appreciate it. Dar, I think you want to put up a screen share right now.
Right. Yes. I just wanted to take this opportunity to invite you all to just participate in this spectacular Sunday that we're doing, that here for you guys in America, you would know it as a phonathon, Jerry Lewis style that you used to have many years ago here. It's unprecedented. You can read quickly here. It's unprecedented in the world of fundraising here in America. It's going to be just an amazing program with all those you can see on the left, featuring Mark Spitz and David Broza and so on and so forth, celebrities. You can donate, you can not donate, but you can still participate, and you are all invited. That's going to be in June 14th.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for joining us today. Our apologies for some technical difficulty that we had today on a couple of ends, which you could see and you couldn't see. The main thing that worked out great was that the video showed, and that's what we thought we were going to have the problems with. So that was the best part. So we're happy that worked out. So again, thank you, Dar, for coming. We're going to figure out what we're going to be doing for programs in the future. And if we get requests for this water program, we're going to definitely have you come back, because I know it's a whole different kind of program than it was tonight.
And I will hope to see you all on July 12th.
I will be happy to just, I'm so eager to just see faces. It's so strange to speak to myself and to hear and roll.
I know, you like to talk to the people. Our next program,
you all in person.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Dar. Our next program for the Israel Engagement Committee is going to be on July 12th, which is a Sunday at 1 p.m. We are doing a live concert with Micha Biton, which he is doing as a fundraiser for the Kaplan Hospital Medical Center in Rehovot, Israel. And if you want to sign up, that will be the next thing we advertise. We did lose Lydia because she had a power outage at her home. So she didn't had to put it up, but we're going to get it out there for you. And sign up. You'll get, when you make your donation, you'll get your Zoom link to join the concert on the honor system. Please don't share the link. Please let as many donors as we can come in to help the hospital. And that was like a really fun time. A lot of surprises. More on that coming. But back to Dar. Thank you again. We really appreciated your being with us tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next on June 12th. We're taking a little month rest, and we can watch Dar's program on June 14th. Thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you. Pleasure. Good night. Laila Tov.